loudly like this.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. Do that. Just like that the entire time. Thank you. Can I get you to say DeAnna Bennett twice?
DeAnna Bennett. DeAnna Bennett.
Perfect. Thank you.
No. I'm not smart enough to think that quickly. If I knew this wasn't touched, I probably would lick it.
That's uncomfortable. By the way, we're streaming live to YouTube right now.
Yes.
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 Joining me now, the Argentine assassin, DeAnna Bennett, getting ready for her showdown with Jody Escobar. Coming up Saturday night, pivotal strawweight matchup. It's been a little while since we saw you. A lot has changed. A lot has gone on in the last year. DeAnna, don't look so excited to be here, please.
This is my happy face. You should see my unhappy face.
I guess. I don't know.
I'm smiling.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, there's teeth. It's either that or I'm angry.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to be angry. At least not yet. I mean,
don't worry. This is a happy smile.
Like the last question in the interview, you can be angry. The first one.
Okay.
You should be happy.
If it starts off on a bad note, then you're really within arm's length.
Right, I know, and
things could get crazy.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave that alone. So, how have things been? I know you've gone through some stuff, but focusing on this fight, has this been a nice distraction at all?
Very much so. Yeah. Fighting's what I love to do. That's where my focus is. My happy place is in the gym. I love being able to compete and do what I love, do what I'm passionate about.
Sure.
And so having that to focus on has really been a stabilizer for me, helping me to honestly cope, going in the training and everything, and then also with my fight family, everyone at the gym, all the gyms that I go to, it helped me a lot having that support system and having kind of that outlet.
Sure. We all need distractions in life when things get tough, and for some people, punching and getting punched in the face is the perfect distraction.
Yes.
We did that spotlight piece on you for Invicta FC Radio prior to your fight with Livia Souza, and I felt like it really outlined who you are as a human being. We talked a lot about your mental game and your mental focus, and I remember hearing you talk about the thought of losing and how much that weighed on you, and I wondered, when you dropped that bout and it was done and it was over, you lost another one. What was that like mentally? Obviously it's been a year away, but do you feel mentally stronger having faced the adversity in the last two fights?
Yeah, it takes off that pressure of like, oh, you have to stay undefeated, you have to have this, and fighting. Anything can happen in there. You can be the most prepared that you've ever been and go out and get liver kicked in 90 seconds. Not that I know that from experience. Don't look up that video. But yeah, it adds another level to your
Sure.
game, things to think about, and less to stress about. Obviously fighting is a lot mental, and once you get rid of that extra stress, you can focus on things that really matter.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the very best of your game, you can have your best performance, but you could fight somebody better than you.
Right.
You never really know what's going to happen once you get out there. You just have to prepare the most that you can. And even though that last bout against Roxanne, it didn't go in my favor, I was really struggling after that last loss. I jumped into the fight really quickly. Probably should have taken some time off and dealt with some of my outside problems. But it really, you could see it. I know I've mentioned it before. In the third round of that fight, you could see I have broken my nose, blood all down my face, but I have a smile on my face because that was like a clarity moment for me, knowing that the cage is somewhere that I want to be and I want to continue and pursue this.
Right, and now you're pursuing, potentially another title fight at 115 pounds, taking on Jody Escobar. 115 is wide open here at Invicta, and with you fighting at that weight, it's foolish to say that you're not an immediate contender should you be able to get a win. You said yourself, you ran into a very tough Livia Souza. We really didn't even get to see what kind of shape you were in that fight. We didn't get to see you fight your game. So, I'm curious, really where you're at 115. Do you feel that you are truly better at this weight compared to 25, where you've had, a wealth of success as well?
Well, my last fight against Roxanne was at 25, but that has its own issues. It's more about how you prepare for it, and physically, I think that I'm a small 25er, and that maybe on the larger end of 115, but still there are plenty of girls that are bigger than me that compete at that weight, and as long as I do things healthily and smart, then it's not an issue, and I do feel like I'm competitive there,
Right.
Given the atmosphere and just the opportunity. There's so many girls in that division that are so great and tough competitors. I'm facing one of them this weekend.
Sure.
And I'm just excited to be able to kind of test my abilities with that. I've never been one to want to go and take a fight against somebody that I knew I was going to win. I like the fights where it's uncertain, and who knows, like, we'll see what my techniques are against hers this weekend, and I'm excited for the challenge aspect of it, and I think that I'll be able to compete better with that at the 115 pound and just see where it goes from there. I'm not thinking beyond this fight, like, okay, well, this will put me back into the title. I really, one thing that I learned from last year is I really need to slow down. I need to take things one thing at a time and focus on what's in front of me. And this fight is the one that's in front of me.
Right.
So hopefully, don't worry. What I learned from the Souza fight was that my liver was dumb, and I severely punished it lots and lots after that fight. So it should know its place now. So we should be okay.
There you
So
go.
if we learned one thing, it's that thing better stay in check.
All right, well, let's talk about this fight with Esquivel. Obviously, it was on the books before. It didn't happen.
Yes.
How far into camp did you get for that fight? My memory's not as clear. Do you feel like you really prepared for Jody twice now?
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider it preparing twice. Honestly, for me, it basically was just kind of an extended
Right.
Fight camp as far as that goes, just because it was about a week and a half out where, my father passed away 2
Right.
weeks before that fight. I wanted so badly to compete in there, for my own personal reasons, and then also, so you have an opponent, they've been training for you specifically for a long period of time. I never want to let that other person down and mess with them, whether it's mentally or game plan or anything like that. And so I felt bad about that aspect, but unfortunately the state of how I wasn't able to, but I was still in the gym and I was still training, and so they gave me the opportunity to reschedule it on this next card because of what happened
Right.
with her replacement opponent. And so it just kind of feels like just an extended fight camp, and that's something that I'm always in the gym. I'm the one that I'll show up and they'll be like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. I'm like, don't tell me how to live my life.
Right.
And
Do what I want.
Exactly. My coach hears that often. He saw a shirt with that and was like, oh, that's your shirt. And I'm like, see, I don't need to wear it because I do what I want.
There you go. DeAnna, I mean, we've touched a little bit about the passing of your father. I lost my father 6-7 years ago at this point, and for me, I mean, obviously the loss of a parent is the only thing worse than that is losing a child. I think, you know what I mean. It's
yeah.
very, very difficult.
Completely.
And for me, not to insert myself into your story at all, but like I took that motivation. I lost 80 pounds. My father
nice.
had a lung problem, and he couldn't breathe, and I was perfectly healthy. And when I walked upstairs, I couldn't breathe. So
Wow.
I needed to go ahead and do something.
Yeah.
You can use tragedies in life to motivate you. What is this fight like? Are you motivating yourself and trying to honor your father, not only with this fight, but the rest of your career and things like that?
Definitely. I don't want to, I want to dedicate this fight to this person. Obviously, he's somebody that I hold deeply. He was my biggest supporter. He's one of two people that literally would fly out to any of my fights. There were some fights where he would come out. I didn't even see him because he
Right.
showed up the day of the fight. I was already at the venue. He was there. and then he had to leave right after the show was done and get back to work. And so, just having that presence there was something that was important. And anyone that I met, his friends or anything, would be like, oh, I saw your videos and your dad was telling me this and your dad was telling me that. And even his last words to me, his last words were fight. I found out that he had the brain tumor and brain tumors. And I flew out to Michigan, and he was in the hospital, and he was having a hard time talking just because of where the tumors were located in his brain. And he could say one or two words, and so he would just point, and then he would punch his hands and just say fight, fight, and then he'd point at me and just say fight. And it's something like, it wasn't him telling me that I needed to, it's he knew how important it was to me and
Right.
how much I wanted to do it, and he wanted to know and support me with that. And so that's definitely something that I want to take into my career, not just this individual fight, but just even if, because he obviously, he was at my last two fights, he saw how they went, and he knew how badly I took that, but he still had hope for me for the future and for my career in this. And
Right.
so that's something that I think about when I go to practice, and when I go, I'm having rough days, it could be worse, and just have to keep things in perspective. And so, I definitely, it's been a motivation for this fight camp, especially because it happened
Right.
basically in
For
the middle
sure.
of this fight camp. And so it's been a driving force for me just to be the best fighter that I can be.
DeAnna, I really appreciate you sharing that story. It's hard to do, and it really gives fans and everyone watching and listening to this kind of insight to where you're at. And I appreciate you sharing with us. And
No problem.
Best of
thanks
luck.
for saying it. And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go. You can just say that I have an itch, not that I'm getting frisky with your microphone.
All right. Well, on that note, best of luck against Jody Esquivel.
Thank you.
DeAnna Bennett joining us here in Invicta FC All Access this Saturday night, UFC Fight Pass.